Welcome to Virtual Lunch in the Exhibit Marketers Cafe. I am your host, Marlis Arnold, and I can't believe it's Tuesday again already. This last week, I don't know about you, but for me, it went really fast. I had that conference I talked about last week on Thursday, which was very fun, by the way, with the whole unboxing. It was very creative how they handled that, where they talked about different trends and things, throughout the afternoon. And we would, they would indicate, okay, now in your box and pull this out. So it was very fun. Gave me a lot of really good ideas for virtual events or even for hybrid events coming up, being able to tie in things in the physical realm. And then I spent the weekend moving web hosts, which if you've never done that, it's great fun. Not, but anyway, almost 2 whole days of one of my accounts not getting any email, and it was just quite interesting. But I think I've made it through the speed bumps. All the websites are working and everything seems to be good. So we're hoping. But anyway, so I see Kevin Carty is here. Happy Tuesday, Kevin. And Matt is here from Champion Logistics. Good to have you. Always nice to see our regulars. And if you are new to the cafe, go ahead and please introduce yourself in the comments and tell us where you're from. And we're going to bring on our guest here in a few minutes. But as always, I have some goodies to share with you, some links and some resources. It's an interesting trend I discovered this week called Flights to Nowhere. And if you haven't heard about this, the link, my husband Alan is in the background as always, and he's going to share the link here. But Qantas opened up a flight to nowhere, which was 7 hours, and they were just circling Australia. It was kind of almost like a 30,000 foot tour guide, but they opened it up and they sold out in 10 minutes for this flight to nowhere. So it was 7 hours on a plane. So there's a video on the CNN page on the link here. It's kind of fun to see what they did, and then they had a whole experience where they had, goodie bags and different things that they did as well. But there's other airlines in other countries that are also doing these flights to nowhere. So it's kind of interesting. They say, you don't need a passport. You don't need to quarantine. You just, hop on the plane and go. Al is here from New York, New Jersey. You're right on the line, right? Between the two. Good to have you here, Al. Always good to see you. And Marco is here from Italy. So good to have you here, Marco. And Silvana is here from Sao Paulo, Brazil. So we are getting to be a very international virtual lunch now. So we've got people joining in from at least 3 different continents now. So it's really cool. So glad to have you here, Silvana. Welcome. So then a couple other things. It's been really interesting to see how traditional events are evolving, or groups and people are finding ways to be more innovative in the way that they create events or handle events or starting up something new. For example, even the Queen of England is opening up one of her estates, and they're going to have a royal drive-in. And Alan's got the link for that. At Sandringham Estate, they are going to open it up this weekend, and they're going to have drive-in movies. So you pull in, and then I think they've got special, you have to go check this out, but they've got special packages where you can upgrade and get popcorn and whatever, but they're going to play Toy Story and The Greatest Showman and, a bunch of different movies, and you can sit there on the grounds of the estate and watch. So that's kind of fun. Jacob is joining us. Good morning, day, evening. Let's see, evening for you in Amsterdam. It's midday here in the central US. But nice to have you joining us today, Jacob. So the Queen is doing a drive-in. There's a Times Square venue that has found a loophole because, for one, they don't serve alcohol and they're not officially classified as a theater, so they're able to open. And so they are doing indoor concerts but they're only having 48 people per 4,000 square feet. So it's kind of interesting. There's not a lot of pictures on the page, but you can kind of see they're spacing everybody out, and they're having plexi dividers. And so anyway, so they're opening up for these events. But part of what's really interesting, and there's a video on the page of they have somebody has created a special mask for singers, which is kind of interesting because I have some friends who are musicians, and they've said, it's like, it's really hard to sing in a mask. So anyway, it's kind of interesting to see how they've come up with this new innovation. So Chuck is here from St. Louis. Welcome, Chuck. Always good to have a fellow Missourian on board. And Savannah says drive-in is a great idea. Here in Brazil, we're having a lot of wedding drive-ins. So that's interesting. I haven't heard of a wedding drive-in. I've seen some concerts here in the US where they have special like platforms that they've built for everybody to join in. But yeah, that's a smart idea for a wedding. That'd actually be kind of fun. So anyway, so the Times Square concerts, and then Macy's is reinventing their Thanksgiving Day parade, which I have to confess, I don't think ever in my life I've watched the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, but I might actually this year because I'm curious what they're going to do. So Alan's going to put that link up. This is another video. This is from NBC New York. And so they're going to do, they're going to film it from different places around New York. I think the way it sounds, they're going to do some of it ahead of time, and then they're going to do some of it live. But, it's not going to be like, they're not going to have the marching bands, and like all the high schools that were supposed to perform have been bumped back to the 2021 event. But they're just going to kind of re-engineer the whole parade. So, they're not going to actually do a parade route. So not quite sure how that's going to work, but it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. And then the next thing, we talked last week, Jim had some wonderful ideas for us on Jim Gilmore on experiences and how to recreate experiences. And I came across this article this week on 3 key retail trends. And one of them was talking about rethinking online experiences and what some of the retailers are doing. And so I thought this was just a really good article that, take a look at it and see. They're talking about, online experiences. And of course, part of it is order fulfillment. But even still, as exhibitors, what can we learn? How can we take what retailers are doing and how they're innovating it and make it work for us as well. All right. Oh, and by the way, if you're joining us on YouTube, the links are there already. I know Alan puts them up in Facebook, but they're already there. If you just click in the description to see more, you will see the links so you can get access to that. Just this morning, an IME survey was reported, the weekly survey that they do. And they said that now 83% of planners have face-to-face events on the calendar for future. Now, I didn't go actually to view the entire thing to see if there was detail, but they're on the books. Now, that may be, a year or 2 years out. I don't know how far out that goes, but it's good to know that planners are continuing to put face-to-face events on their schedule. The Chicago Tribune did a national survey. And of course, as we know, Chicago is not anywhere near reopening as far as McCormick Place. But they did a national survey and found that a third of the people who took the survey, and this is one of those big, long, ugly links anyway. But like I said, for YouTube viewers, it's on there. And now it's up in Facebook. But anyway, a third of the people would be willing to drive to an event at McCormick Place right now. And but they would be less willing to fly, of course. There's fewer people that are willing to do that. And then even more people said that they would be willing if they knew that strict protocols were being enforced, which, as we know, in the industry, it's really, the convention centers are all working to be GBAC certified and to really get all of these protocols in place. So that's really, as Silvana says, it's really good news that they're, the people are ready. It's just, things have to be put in place. So, and there was also an interesting article in Fast Company about the future of live events. And they talked about how workers need to develop new skills, which, as we've seen, we've all had to develop new skills in the last 6 months, and that business models may change. And they talked about the example of the TED conference. And I've said this for a long time, that events, that trade shows and conferences should take the model of TED, because if you think about it, very few people have ever gone to TED live, in person. First of all, it is not cheap to go. And second of all, it's very exclusive. So the majority of TED's attendees or participants are online participants or viewers, or they also now do the TEDx conferences where they're, satellite smaller conferences in other cities around the world. So, why can't trade shows and events find ways to innovate like that? So anyway, good article from Fast Company. And then Marco shared a link with me. I'm not going to share the link here because it's all in Italian. So it probably doesn't help you a lot, other than I ran it through Google Translator. But the summary is the Italian Exhibition and Trade Fair Association, the government have declared trade shows as essential travel. And so visitors are allowed to attend if they have tested negative within 72 hours. So that's a good thing. Now it says, certain hotspot areas are not included. So I don't know. It didn't say US included or not. I don't know if we are. But anyway, so that's good. And also German exhibitions. Alan's going to put up that link. German exhibitions, they have 84 planned through the end of the year. So that's really good to hear. I mean, because end of the year is going to be here before we know it. And again, trade shows are considered separate from major events. So that's part of how they're allowed to go ahead and continue. So let me see. I think that was it for my links. Just two quick announcements otherwise about upcoming events. Tomorrow, if you have never participated in Expo Chat, which is hosted by or sponsored by TSNN. I am one of the moderators. I'm hosting tomorrow. If you were here earlier this summer, we did a virtual lunch about take care of yourself. So that's my topic for tomorrow that I'll be leading, is a discussion on how to take care of yourself and your team during this time. So, and I know this one is just on screen. It's not typed in, but if you just go to TSNN, there's a link for Expo Chat right there at the top of the page. So you can definitely join us for that. And then next week on Virtual Lunch, I have a special guest planned, a little bit different. I've always felt through all of this, I feel so helpless and wish that I could help all my friends who are struggling and now looking for work. And so I finally came across someone who is a career advisor, career expert. So I'm going to bring her on next week. So I encourage you, if you have, and I know every single one of you has friends in this industry who are currently looking or struggling, or you want to be able to help them, this is going to be a great opportunity to get some tips and advice and ways to help. So anyway, I want to bring on now our special guest for today, Kai Hattendorf, who is the CEO and Managing Director of UFI, the Global Association of the Exhibition Industry. And as the Managing Director, he's responsible for all of UFI's events around the world. So he spends a lot of time in a plane and traveling. And he has many years in the exhibition industry. Before that, he was in telecom. And I found out just this week, I did not know, that another thing that we have in common actually is he has a journalism background. Only his is a little bit more exciting than mine because he's been with BBC and the Voice of America. I don't have quite those kind of profiles on my resume. But Kai, very nice to have you here. We're very anxious to hear what you have to share with us. Welcome to Virtual Lunch.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. And the BBC isn't different than your local radio station. They just all have a British accent.
Well, I am so glad to have you here. I know UFI has been doing a lot of studies and projects, and if any of you haven't ever sat in on one of the UFI Connects webinars, they're always very, very insightful and give a lot of good overview of what's going on in the industry. So, but recently UFI did, or you participated with Explori and CISO, correct, to put together the study? Were there other organizations involved?
Now, we've been working with Explori as our research partner for more than 4 years now, and we do one major research project every year. And we connected with CISO, who we are working very closely with in many ways in the US, to bring them on board as our partner in the US. And we've been looking into what's the most relevant research right now that will bring us forward as an industry in these times of COVID. Not focusing on the economic impact, on the damage, or on the jobs lost, but on the customer's perspective. Mm-hmm. So together with Explorer, we were talking to 9,000 representatives of exhibitors or trade show visitors about their sentiment and about how they currently feel and how and when they want to come back to the trade show floor.
Well, and I know I'm going to go ahead and put up, we've got the, let me take this off for the moment. This is kind of a breakdown, if you want to kind of explain to us who the audience was and how the survey was conducted.
Yeah, I mean, this is essentially the slide to show off about the global reach of the study. You see the sectors that are in there, you see the company sizes, you see the number of shows those people we talked to attend throughout the year. Essentially what this slide tells you, that it's, although there are some industries that are more represented than others, some sectors in the survey, the data pretty much holds solid all across the 17 or 19 main industry sectors that we are covering based on US or global standardization models.
Well, and I thought there were some really interesting things that came out of this. There is, and Alan is going to put up the link, there is a webinar that you guys did where you walked through all of these studies. But a couple of the things that stood out to me was that, let's see, so 53% of exhibitors expect their exhibit spending to return to normal within 12 months, and 28% of them said immediately. So I thought that was probably one of the most encouraging statistics I saw in the whole. Well, I haven't seen the full report. I know, when does that actually come out? We're
working on having it ready, and we decided to release the data as soon as we have it validated in a number of instances, because we didn't want to hold back. We all need data. We all need facts and a proper base to move forward. So I guess we will have it out in a few weeks.
Okay.
But if there's another pre-release focusing on some of the findings, we will certainly put out the pre-release first.
Well, and what I was going to say is, I know that was one of the things that came up during the webinar was how, the exhibitors are ready to start spending again. And I thought that was incredible. Did that statistic surprise you at all?
Well, to be honest, we were all a bit scared going into the survey because there we are putting our heart on the table and say, hey, do you still like us? We've all had to sit home for months. We got used to talking screen to screen, not face to face. We've had all-time highs on virtual interaction, and if you bought your Zoom shares in the right moment, they perform better than your Apple shares. So here we were putting our heart out to our customers and really taking their pulse. And we were, of course, convinced as an industry that they want to come back, or we didn't have to prove. And what the data tells us very clearly, they want to come back. They expect us to open the marketplaces and the meeting places for them again. And yes, there will be smaller shows initially, and they will have to watch their spending. And of course, they right now they're spending least of all on real events because there are no real life events. And so percentage-wise, we've lost the most of the marketing channels right now. But the money isn't gone. The money is there waiting to be spent. That's the good news.
Yeah, and that's what I thought was really awesome, because, you never know. Some of these companies are like, use it or lose it. So I was kind of afraid that they would have reallocated a lot of those budgets and they wouldn't have the money to come back. But it's very encouraging to hear that they plan on spending. And so many of them, almost a third plan on just right away, like almost like a switch flipping, and they never even stopped exhibiting. They're just ready to pick up and start spending all that money again. So I think that's probably one of the most encouraging things that came out of what I've seen so far anyway from the report. But share with us a little bit more. I know another one of the things that I thought was interesting, and I guess it just hadn't dawned on me before, but I'm trying to find, I guess I don't have the number written down, but one of the things that exhibitors said that was the hardest thing, or one of the things that they had lost the most, was time spent with no return. And I thought, wow, I hadn't really thought about that, but all the time and money and energy that they had spent to prepare for shows that then didn't happen. So share with us a little bit more about some of the insights from the exhibitors and what they said as far as what they're missing and what they're ready to get back to.
Yeah, no, we have a slide for that. So if you can bring that up, I can
Yes.
talk you through that. I can talk through the lines a bit. So obviously, what they miss most of all is the marketplace and the networking, the opportunity to have this face-to-face conversation. The quality of the audience is key for any business event, and trade shows are no exception. So it's quality over quantity. Second is the overall experience. Yes, we all complain after a day on the show floor that our feet are aching, and yes, we all complain in the morning if the exhibitor party was too good and our head reminds us of the drinks we had. But that overall experience is part of what drives the business, because it so intrinsically motivates you to be at the show and to look for the next deal. It is obviously the generating leads, which is something where we have been under pressure as an industry for years to come back with tangible ROIs. It is representing your brand, which is a vital part. So you see all of these, and the return on investment there. All of these points are much more appreciated in the live event, even after exhibitors have experienced participating in digital trade shows or hybrid events.
Well, and part of what the survey covered was talking about the virtual events as well. And so I was kind of surprised to see that only 13% of exhibitors had paid to participate in a virtual event. I would have thought that, I don't remember exactly when the survey was conducted. Maybe there's more that have now, or definitely will be this fall, but it seemed like it would have been higher than 13% that had participated in something, during this time.
Well, we released that in August, so findings or the interviews were in late June, early July.
So that's probably why.
Essentially, then people were giving free rides, test drives of virtual platforms. But from all I hear right now, this is still the case, because it is not like a show brand is now doing their second, third, or fourth digital event in a row. It's another event of a brand, of a company, of an organizer, pivoting to digital and having to offer that trial. So the revenue side is weak for the organizer, as we all know, and there's not a lot of willingness to spend in untested channels on the exhibitor side. And I think what you're saying, I don't know, we don't have that as a slide, but another element where we compared the perception of the virtual elements for those who have paid and attended a digital event, and those who have not paid but attended a digital event. And all these key performance indicators, they may have moved by 1 or 2 percentage points on a scale of 0 to 100. But even after experiencing a digital event and seeing the strengths and weaknesses of the platform, people reinstate that they prefer live over that digital experience.
Right. And I don't doubt that. I was just surprised that more had, but like, as you pointed out, that was just 13% had actually paid to participate. So probably more than that had participated as exhibitors.
85 to 87% had participated in some digital activity of an exhibition organizer. So they've all tried it, and everybody is trying something. And it can be on social media, they can be on the platform of an organizer.
And Kevin Carty asks, is UFI encouraging its membership to partner with stand builders to provide good virtual exhibit solutions to integrate with the show organizer's virtual platform?
In a nutshell, no. And here's why. No, what we do right now is we are gathering and sharing good practices of events reopening under COVID regulations. And we're gathering and sharing good practices on hybrid events. And some of these good practices are done with very similar platforms, and some are done with very different platforms. We are not promoting or partnering with designated platforms because we are the global association. Quite a few of those platforms are actually within our membership. So we will probably have a good network of criteria for what to look out for on the platform. But the answer we give to every organizer who's interacting with us or reaching out to us is, don't look for a platform. Write down what it is you want to deliver, and then look who can do that best. Because there's a myriad of platforms out there and so many different solutions. They all have their strengths and weaknesses. And if you do your homework first, so you know which elements are most important for your community, for the industry you serve, then you're off to a better start than if you have a look around at the platform that looks bright and shiny there on the other webpage.
Well, exactly. And that's what I've been telling show organizers as well. In fact, when I put together my virtual event success kit and put together my checklist and planner, I put choosing a platform as I think it was section 8 in the planner, because there's so many other things that you need to do first. So figuring out, how do you want to connect people, and how do you want to deliver your event, and all of those kinds of things. So there's so many other things that come first. And like what you said, there's not a consistent way, because all the platforms are so different as far as the virtual trade show side. There's no one way to do it. I think more what Kevin was getting at is helping the exhibitors create their own solutions to where they can have something that works, in whatever platform, some kind of tools that they can use. Is that anything that UFI has been working towards helping exhibitors with?
I think we are a fair time away from any kind of standardization. There are a couple of data fields that are always on every platform, or visual guides as to what format works best on a digital show booth. The jury is out if a digital representation of a trade show floor makes sense at all. We've seen that in 2007 with Second Life, when you had a kind of 3-dimensional virtual world where IBM was building huge conference centers. Now, back then I was working for Deutsche Telekom, and we were building a digital conference center for people to do business. And then we found an avatar caterpillar sitting next to an avatar bird trying to talk business, and the whole setting was fairly ridiculous. No wonder this thing didn't fly. Did you ever try to build an avatar in Second Life? Mine looked like the Hunchback.
Yeah, I remember Second Life. I never got into it, but yeah, it didn't impress me at the time because, well, I'm not into digital, video games and stuff. So, it didn't impress me with that. There are some very cool platforms out there now, though, that are starting to get the hang. Not so much the avatar side of things, but that are starting to get the hang of actually having a trade show side. Too many of the platforms out there right now, I think, are still concentrated too heavily on the conference side, and they don't do enough for the trade show side. But, one thing I've been telling exhibitors is there's ways to be creative no matter what platform you're in. And especially since, every show you do is probably going to be on a different platform anyway. So you can't get too used to anyone's style. But I want to kind of shift gears just a little bit and talk about the other project that you did recently with the JMIC Global Manifesto. And so we have a slide for that as well. About 15
If you throw that up and talk over it for 20 seconds, I can plug in my phone so I don't run out of power.
Okay, good idea. So 15 ways that business events create economic recovery. And so, I think this is so important because I think part of the problem has been especially in this country, but I think in a lot of countries, we've had problems where we're not necessarily good at tooting our own horn. So these are, and Alan's going to put up a link where you can go and actually download this manifesto, but there's so many different ways that we can promote ourselves and show what our value is and why events are important. And so I see Kai is back now. So let's talk a little bit. I know, and again, if you download the manifesto, you've got all of these things, but just a couple of the things I wanted to highlight. One was innovation. And so if you can talk just a little bit on how business events are important for innovation.
Sure. I mean, the whole premise of this document is to empower associations, businesses, and everyone listening and watching today to be an advocate for our business event sector. What we need the authorities to understand, and initiatives like Go Live Together are making a great cause, or making a great job on this in the US, is to help everyone to understand that we are not part of the problem. We are organized mass gatherings. We can organize the way people move around. We can provide a space that is much safer than any shopping mall. Mm-hmm. We are part of the solution. We are the meeting places and the marketplaces that societies need, that businesses need, that industries need to come back after COVID, because we can connect them. So every support given to our sector to get through this is also support given to each and every mom and pop shop, to every industry in the US or around the world to bounce back after COVID. And it will be the small and medium enterprises that will drive the return of the marketplace. It will be the small players that come to the show floor, because for them, it's the most important marketing channel. This is where they fill their order books.
Yes.
The manifesto is about putting that narrative into play and empowering everyone from using it or to use it. And innovation is one of these 15 elements that we worked on to make clear that the marketplace itself drives these conversations between people. Mm-hmm. It drives conversations between the people coming into town for the show and the local people. It drives conversations between local policymakers and the trade show organizers and the venues. And out of that comes innovation. Out of that comes the idea for a city to become a center of excellence for something. Barcelona in Spain is the Mobile World capital because they secured the Mobile World Congress. Now, we had a person staying in our home for half a year, finishing school, who then went off to Barcelona to study computer game visual arts, to now make visuals for mobile computer games. This university, this sector didn't exist in Barcelona. So they repositioned themselves through a business event, bringing in all the innovation that helps them to grow as a city, as a destination. They put Barcelona on the world map as a leading destination for telecommunications research and innovation. So that's the power of business events that you can activate when you really work together as a community with the input of ideas and brains and business that comes into town with an event.
That is a really great example. And I know you kind of segged a little bit into one of the other points. I believe it's number 12, laboratories for public policy. It really is true. I mean, when you really look at what conferences and trade shows do, we have so much reach. And I think that all of this through this time has brought that out. But we still need to work on articulating how we help. And that's the other thing I like about the manifesto is the second half is talking about how to actually take some of those steps. So, I think that UFI has done some really phenomenal work. And I know you guys aren't done. I know, as you said, you've got the full global recovery project is coming out. The full report is coming out soon. What else is coming up in the pipeline? What else is UFI working on to support the exhibitions industry?
Oh, well, we are
or I'm sure it's a long list.
how much time do we have? No, we are actually, you won't really believe it, we're doing a global event. Every year in November, we have our global congress, and obviously we are challenged as everyone how to do it. So instead of one event, we are organizing 4 events. 2 of them are face-to-face in Dubai and in Basel in Switzerland. 2 of them will be virtual, one from Colombia, one from Hong Kong. And we have a platform that connects it all. So that keeps us rather busy to connect our global community. But essentially, if you want to stay in the flow, you already mentioned UFI Connects, our series of online sessions. UFI Connects is an umbrella. It can be a panel discussion, it can be a presentation, it can be a topical discussion. Today we were discussing how an industry community worked on a blueprint for the future of the industry. Some days ago we were discussing, or they were discussing in Spanish, which I don't speak, how the industry is coming back in Latin America. I think the next session is about the economic impact in the Middle East, and then we talk about waste management in Asia. So all kinds of operational issues that are important for our sector. On the research side, of course, the Global Recovery Project, plus economic impact, and loads and loads and loads and loads of advocacy messaging. Because there we have to be on the ball every day. You were citing earlier, before you brought me on, the decision by the German and the Italian government to deem travel to a trade show essential travel. So this is great because it allows you to come from almost every country in the world into Germany, into Italy to attend a trade show. You have to go into quarantine or do rapid testing on arrival. And as these things evolve, this will reopen our sector. So we're doing a lot of lobbying work through our Brussels office to make sure that these examples become the de facto standard for the European Union and can then be expanded into other parts of the world. In Australia, we see a government support program for the business event sector of 50 million Australian dollars. So we work to take this case and then talk to the other regional offices and legal entities to say, look, if Australia can do it, you can do it. If Germany says trade shows are expensive, they're not expensive, sorry, are important, why don't you? So we take this, and there's a lot of communication happening every day in the background to try to connect these dots, to identify these best practices, and to share it all back with the industry community, so we can all beat the drum and bring back the industry that we love. So next time we don't talk screen to screen, but face to face.
Well, and like I said, I think what UFI is doing is so important and so great that it's happening on a global scale, because this has not necessarily been an industry that's been terribly unified in the past, with all the different fragments of different associations and different locations. So I think it's really important. So as I said earlier, follow UFI Connects, stay in touch with what's coming up, what's going on. Kai, what's another good way? Is it good for people to reach out to you via LinkedIn if they want to stay connected, or what's the best way to reach you?
The best platform to connect is LinkedIn. Follow UFI on LinkedIn, and you tuck yourself into the stream of nations and company announcements. 2 domains on the UFI side. UFI.org is our website. UFI.org/coronavirus for all the advocacy material and research material around that damn virus, and UFI.org/UFI Connects for these series of, I think we did 30 by now, online sessions, and they're all available to watch on demand. We relaunched that site, and there's a proper search engine. So if you want to know what happened in Brazil in April, it's there. If you want to see what's happening economically in Asia, it's there. And the search for it works well. You're all invited to benefit from what we put out there, because everybody was saying that in May and June, and we stopped saying that because we grew tired of it. But we are all in this together. Yes. And it will take all of us to come out of it. So whatever we can do from the UFI side to help everyone.
Yes. And Marco from Italy says that Kai and UFI are doing a great job for the industry, and thanks for that. And I think we all echo that sentiment. We appreciate, I know you are working incredibly hard these days, and all your work is finally beginning to pay off. So we appreciate that. And I also want to point out, I don't think we got the actual link up, but there is a link in both Facebook and YouTube so that you can get straight to that webinar for the UFI Connects for the Global Recovery Project. But Kai, thank you so much again for taking time out of your day to join us for virtual lunch. We appreciate it. You can see that our audience appreciates it as well. So thank you so much. And we wish Ufi all the best as you continue to lead us in this fight and this moving forward process. So
no, thank you again for having me. And I'm just lucky. It's evening in Paris, and you see that the light is fading. So we have to wrap it up before it gets too dark and you can't see me no more.
Well, thank you again. And for everybody else, we will see you next week. Again, remember, like I said, we've got a special guest here to talk about helping transition the careers. So anyway, until next Tuesday, we will see you back here at Virtual Lunch. Bye.
Bye.